Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Dani here from GDL Darts, and welcome to episode 3 of On the Oche. Today, I am joined by Sam Brack from Sam Brack Darts. Sam has blown up over on TikTok over the past year and a bit, creating content all across the dart sphere and really making, I think, the content very beginner friendly, which has really helped, particularly with the growth of darts over the past year and a half since the Luke Littler effect has fully taken over. Sam, it's a pleasure to have you on. How are you keeping?
All good, thank you. All good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. So we're going to start off. This will just be like a chat. Hopefully, there'll be a few funny moments in there, a few memorable ones. We'll clip this a little bit. I'm going to start with some quick fire questions, and I have a bunch of questions to get in to ask you. So, yeah, quick fire questions. Give me the first thing that comes to your mind, and we'll go from there, right?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Favorite darts player of all time?
Johnny Clayton.
Johnny Clayton. No, it's very recent. I like it. One word to describe your playing style.
Wild.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Time travel.
Should have said good at darts. What's your guilt? What's your guilty pleasure TV show or movie?
Oh wow. Guilty pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Probably just like a quiz show. Any sort of quiz show. The Chase.
The Chase. Chase is ridiculously good.
I've not seen it for a long time, but when it's on, I'll tune in.
Yeah, you can't beat it. Daytime television. Whenever I go home to my dad, because he works nights, it's fantastic. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh geez. Go-to karaoke song. I always in my head. You have that song where you think, if I was going to do karaoke, I'd do it, but it wouldn't fit. It'd be some sort of Eminem song, like I like to rap like "Stand" by Eminem or something like that. Although it wouldn't. It absolutely kill a karaoke song. Yeah, it is, but in a karaoke, it's the worst thing to sing.
If it was full of like kids born in the 90s, it would slap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Would that be your walk-on song then?
No, my walk-on song would be "The Wanderer" for Bolton.
Of course. What's the most used app on your phone? Probably TikTok at this stage.
Yeah, TikTok. Probably TikTok. I'm currently trying to blast Duolingo, trying a bit of Spanish.
Nice. Do you have any plans to go to Spain? Is that what it is?
Well, actually, I'm going to Gran Canaria next week, so
nice.
I might say hola.
Dos Estrella, per favor.
Yeah.
Your favorite band?
Favorite band, Kasabian.
Nice. Fucking love Kasabian. If you could play a match against any fictional character, who would it be?
Fictional character? As in darts match, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no. What a question that is.
I know, it's an odd one.
Probably like Walter White or someone.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. You'd be good at the mind games anyways. And then if you could play anyone dead or alive, any darts player of all time, who would it be?
The obvious answer is obviously Phil Taylor, isn't it? But that's a bit boring, isn't it, answer. I would like to play someone like Littler.
Yeah.
Like that. Obviously, I wouldn't stand a
sick
chance.
Content.
Yeah, unreal. Yeah.
I think we're all hoping one day he just turns around and says, "Yeah, I'm free for a game."
Yeah.
So like with that, how did you first get into darts? I know we were chatting a little bit off air a second ago, but what was your journey like? Because obviously, from what I've seen, the social media growth for yourself has been, you probably agree, quite fucking massive over the past year and a bit. And that doesn't go without the hard work that you've obviously put into that. But how did you get into darts? And then obviously, I know at the time you weren't thinking, I'm going to do social media and darts. But how did that all come about for yourself?
Yeah, when I was younger, I really wanted a dartboard in my bedroom. So my mum got me a dartboard for Christmas one year. And played darts for about 6 months, and it's just a phase. And I stopped playing darts. Got bored of it, stopped playing. And then a couple of years ago now, I don't know why it was. I was playing a lot of golf. Well, I did play a lot of golf. And me and my cousin were playing golf one day, and we just sort of decided to have a game of darts. So I went to Sports Direct, bought a darts board, put it up. We had a game of darts. And from then I just started playing. I don't know why. I think it must be on TV or something. Must be on TV. Maybe the UK Open or something must have been on, or something like that. And yeah, I just started playing darts. I filmed a TikTok video. It wasn't a good video. It was me playing Lego darts, and it got 1 million views. I don't know why it did. I still don't understand now how it did. And I thought, well, people might want to watch this, so I just started posting. I posted pretty much every single day since then.
Was that just a video of the board, or did it have like a mirror that showed you throwing
Yeah,
as well?
basically, I've got like a full-length mirror.
Yeah.
On one side of the board and the other. It wasn't, like I said, nothing special. It was me playing Lego darts, one Lego darts against a bot. I think I did like a 25 dart leg, so it wasn't even a good Lego darts. And yeah, it just went insane. I still don't know why.
Yeah, and what obviously, like, then you saw that and were like, listen, I'm gonna start posting. Did you have any idea how big the market was or could be?
No, like for probably, I say I posted every day. I didn't post every day. What I planned to do is I posted regularly. Then I started live streaming when I got to 1,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing lives, just me playing at the bot or playing online or whatever. And then I started getting a few followers, and then I saw the creator fund, and you can get to 10. When you get 10,000 followers, you can get paid. So I was like, oh, sweet, that's a goal paying for. So I aimed to get 10,000. I did that, and then I was like, right, we need to post minute-long videos. So what can I post? And then I started coming up with ideas for minute-long videos. For probably 2 or 3 months, I was getting like 1,000 views a video. I wasn't getting hardly anything, and the pay was terrible. I said to her partner at the time, I said to her, if I can make £30 a month from it, I'll be buzzing. And then it just started to take off. Probably start of this year, I got to 20,000 followers. I went from 0 to 10,000 followers in about a year, 10,000 to 20 in about 8 months, and then New Year's Eve just gone. I hit 20,000 followers on New Year's Eve, because that was my goal, 20,000 by the end of the year. Hit that New Year's Eve, so I was buzzing. Then the Littler effect came in, darts went crazy, and then my following grew massive as well from there, and it's still growing. Hopefully, it keeps growing. But yeah, I've got way further than I thought I was going to get ever. I didn't plan for this to happen. It was just luck and consistency. That's all it was.
Yeah, I think that's a lot, because like a lot of time, if you plan for this stuff to happen or force it, you won't enjoy it. It doesn't work, and you just kind of like fell in love with the game and kind of the opportunities in it, which is the same as myself. You guys are lucky. We don't get the creator fund in Ireland, which is all.
Oh, really?
No, we don't get that. I think UK, and then there's some countries in Europe, but I don't think there's many. And then obviously the US and outside of in Asia, you can get it as well. But no, we don't have access to it in Ireland. If I was that, I'd be live streaming and posting to beat the ban.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Not that you want to just like completely just throw shit at the wall and hope it sticks, which is part of being a content creator. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's a nice incentive as well to give back to the creators on the app, because like TikTok is just fucking mad. Like it's just it's just the weirdest app. Have you had any weird like not fan interactions, but you know what I mean? Like in terms of people like do you get any weird comments or anything like that along the way, or has it been? Because I think the darts community as a macro view is kind of wholesome and positive, but there are always a few got any weird ones.
The one thing I would say about TikTok is the people who play darts and play darts consistently, even pub darts or at home, people that play darts are the ones that are like supportive. You're doing well. The people who don't play darts are the ones that will give you the abuse. I'm lucky. I get a lot of good and a lot of bad. Well, a lot of good and some bad comments. More when I'm live streaming, because people expect it to be in like 90 average, and I'm nowhere near that.
It's weird. It's like they just expect anyone to throw a dart to be professional. Yeah. It's like the same thing if you were live streaming football. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't expect yourself to be playing in Wembley. You know, it's just it's odd. Do you get like a rise out of like? Because sometimes I like posting something that, like, I might give an opinion. Like, I think I did a video and it was like, rank these players, like, in terms of like a GOAT list. And Littler came up and I put him in like number 2 or number 3, knowing in my head already that like people will be like, what the, like, Luke's only been in the game 6 months. This is blah, blah, blah. Do you kind of like get any enjoyment out of like winding people up at the same time?
Sometimes I never personally try and wind anyone up, but some videos I posted have wound people up. I'm like, how are you getting wound up by this? I made a video a while back probably about a couple of months ago, and it was me. It was a tutorial of how to improve your darts. It's me standing there going, I throw a 26, get the darts on the board, I come back, and then I throw a 180. And I go, that's how to get better at darts. If you score 180, you're going to win more legs because you're getting a better score. And people are like, this is rubbish advice. I'm like, it's not advice. Like, it's literally not advice. It's darts.
Yeah, and that's also, I think, like one thing with social media. I don't mean this in a bad way, because like I don't think people are stupid, but you do realize a lot of people are fucking stupid.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people out there who like you just like we wouldn't get any, I guess, like success from what we're doing if it wasn't the people who genuinely enjoy their content. But there's some people that just gotta help push the content. They're like, like obviously that video satire, but they're just like, oh well, like that's not advice at all, and you're just like,
oh. Yeah, obviously it's not advice. It happens quite a lot, and I do try and be fairly like empathetic with people when they do comment things that are really, really basic. So it's like, what dartboard should I buy, or what height should my dartboard be? I do try and be polite and like, you know, this is what
of course.
Or they'll message me saying, "Are these darts good?" I'm like, I've got no idea, but probably they're okay. Like, it doesn't really matter. You'll always get that sort of thing when I'm live streaming. The same questions get every time. What darts are you using? What weight your darts? I use a Scolia, so they're asking what app are you using, that sort of thing. And I try and answer. It happens every single time, but I know, thinking, the weight of my darts is absolutely irrelevant. I could be using 40 gram absolute bombers. It makes no difference to you. But I always try and be, you know, they're probably kids just trying to learn, and I'm trying to, you know, be kind, but at the same time, some questions I've had have just been like, where did that come from? And
they are odd. They're just for anyone who is newish to darts, watching or listening.
Which I understand.
It does not matter what weight you throw, what dart you throw, because it's you throwing the dart. You know what
Absolutely. I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
But as a standard rule, you can ask. You don't feel afraid to ask questions. We don't mind answering them.
No.
I'd say like, go on.
I always try and answer. People message me all the time on TikTok and ask me questions. I try my best to answer every single question, whether it's the most ridiculous question in the world or it's a genuine question. Like, I'm sure some people are trying to troll me in my DMs, but I still think maybe it's not. I'll answer it just in case. And so I try and answer every single question if I can do.
We don't bite. We will answer any questions we get asked, and we are nice, to be fair. How do you think like social media has affected kind of the game of darts over the past year or two? And like what I mean by that is
massively. Like it's helped grow the game for sure. It's helped grow the game. Sorry, I cut you off there. I apologise.
No, you're good.
It's helped grow the game for sure. Obviously, with Littler coming in, Luke Littler, whether you like it or not, he has changed darts. Like, he is
100%, yeah.
And I think because of that, and because of his presence on social media, it's pushed other players to start using social media more.
Yes.
And other companies like that, you've got all your big names, like PDC are active on TikTok. You've got companies like Target, Red Dragon. All these companies have now started pushing things more towards social media because people are watching social media. So they're now, Red Dragon and Target are sort of not sponsoring, but trying to push things out to players that are on TikTok and other social media platforms, YouTube and whatever. So I think social media in a whole has been really good for the growth of darts, and it will keep growing. The influx I've seen on TikTok, especially when I first posted my first video, I think there must have been about 10, 15 players playing on TikTok, and now you scroll through you scroll through your For You feed on TikTok, and every other video is darts or something like that. It's incredible now.
Yeah, and I think like for sponsorship opportunities, I was always baffled why, they didn't. And I think like with a lot of sports, like some like football and things like that, you find it hard to connect to the person because they're so, detached from their celebrities. And to some people now, it's weird for the outsiders to think about it because like my missus didn't even know darts was like she knew it came on at Christmas and it was like a thing. But like Luke Littler was on the MMA Hour with Ariel Hawani last week, which to me is baffling. He talked about how he has security full time no matter where he is around the world now. And obviously that's probably just for Luke, but more eyes on the game means more eyes on the game across the board. And with that, it's, to me, it was always baffling why people didn't make the use of that more. Because, like, to be fair to darts players, like, it's a very, I know the PDC has rules in their, with the PDPA where, you know, you can't stream or kind of, they own the rights to all that content essentially. So you're not going to go in and like just kind of do behind the scenes, but they could just do days in the life and stuff like that. And like if someone like Littler, not that he needs to, but if he was to start literally vlogging and doing like behind the scenes or day in the life, that shit would literally like blow up. And I'm surprised more players don't do that, particularly now. Like you're going to the stage where, don't get me wrong, it is a meritocracy and the best players will ultimately always win in the sport of darts. But if you have a win and you have a social media presence, that win becomes amplified so much more in terms of like sponsorships and things like that. Because like I think the patches alone on Littler's shirt, they're worth nearly $500,000 to $1 million quid a year, which is ridiculous. Like, you know, Taylor back in the day would say like, oh, this is worth $250,000, this is worth $250,000. And I'm surprised they just don't all do it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's absolutely huge. It's good, not just for darts players, for people that make videos on TikTok. It's also good for people trying to get into it because there's now more money in darts, so there's more youth academies opening. There's more chances for kids. Obviously, the joke is the Project Luke Littler. That's a thing now. It's a joke, but it actually is. People are taking darts seriously, and there'll be parents buying dartboards for kids to play and to practice. And everyone's dream, well, not everyone's, but a lot of people's dream when you're younger to play football. But now it's turned to, I want to be Luke Littler. I want to play darts. I want to be world champion at darts. And that was never a thing when I was a kid.
Because you just look at darts as like it was the pub game and it was just the people on stage, the big fellas just getting drunk and throwing some arrows and everyone goes for a piss up. But weirdly enough, actually, when I was a kid anyways, you know, when we were watching the World Championship, even at the Circus Tavern, it was dead silent. You know, which is mad. Like I've gone to many darts events since I'm a kid. Just always liked the game. I never really played it up until like 2 years ago, but like I always enjoyed the atmosphere at it. And we always had it on the telly as kids. But one thing I don't necessarily like is, it's good and bad. Like you have to take the good with the bad. Is like when you go to have you been to any of the Premier League events in the past 2 years?
I know. I went to the final, just gone.
Oh, you went to Wembley? To O2 even, wasn't
it?
Yeah. I went to Belfast last year. I think it was the first week of last year. The crowds at them now, don't get wrong, it's good and bad, are just like most of them, not saying most of them, but like there's a small crowd who runs it for everybody. They're not dart fans. They're just literally there for like a piss up. And because I remember going as a kid, like you have people drinking, enjoying themselves. But the last one I went to, it was like fights. Like, and it's obviously not shown on the telly, but I went in Belfast, and like it's in the SSE arena, or I think that's what it's called, and it's normally like a hockey stadium, I guess it's set up for the Belfast Giants, I think they're called. But the rink, I guess, where all the tables were, it was just the back of that were people like falling around, literally fights every 5 minutes. And I'm like, is this good for the sport of darts in general? Because like a lot of kids go into that. I wouldn't feel safe bringing a kid to that, and especially if you're like, don't get me wrong, should the question be made like, are those events meant to be 18 and over? But like, it's like, no, like a football event's 18 and over. You want to go and have those memories of the kid going to those things. So maybe it is just the Premier League though. I don't know. Like, I don't like the Premier League personally. I don't know what your opinion is on it. It's just kind of, the way I describe it is like, when we were younger, if Barney played Taylor, it was sure they played each other on the floor in the tour championships or the players championships every now and then. But if they played each other on telly, it was a massive game. Now, in some ways, I think it takes away from like the aura of that game when you have Littler and Humphreys playing each other every 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. I do like the Premier League. I do like it. Like I say, I went to the final, just gone. Quick story about that one while we're here. I did a YouTube video on this actually as well, and I put it on TikTok. I went to the final, and it was the final of the final, and I went to the toilet at the ad break, queued to the toilet, got a drink on my way back in. As I walk back in, there's beer flying everywhere. And I'm walking back to my seat, and everyone's like, "You've just missed it." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Little's just I was in the toilet. Honestly, I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming." But yeah, like you say, there was just people going drinking. I walked in, and there was literally beer just flying everywhere, and they're not cheap either. Like these beers are like they're pricey, and I was thinking, to throw them around is insane. But yeah, I missed it, and I'm honestly, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
Yeah, I was watching it, and same thing. I was like, it's 5-5. I'm going, like, it's breaks happening, right? I'm just going, I'm getting ready for bed. I think I was the time. Then I turned it back on, and it was like 7-6 or whatever it was, whatever the score, 7-5 maybe. And they're like, and is he on for another one? I was like, what do you mean another one? And it was like, yeah, he hit 9. I was like, fucking hell. But like, I think the frequency of 9-darters now, it's like, it doesn't take away from them necessarily. They're so massive, but like, it's mad. Like, you literally only see maybe one a year, on the telly. Don't get me wrong, people would hit them on the Players' Championship behind closed doors a lot. But like, yeah, do you think like darts is getting to the stage, and obviously it never will get to that stage, but like where it's becoming for some people too easy?
I was just about to ask you the same question, actually. I was going to say, what do you think? Because a lot of sports, there's still a lot of room for improvement. If you see, like, I don't know, take snooker, for example, because obviously snooker and darts are often compared. But snooker players, how often do you say 147 in snooker? Not very often. But you also, the standard of snooker is getting better each year. Whereas the standard of darts now, you see players average 100 every week. It's ridiculous. But
of course, yeah.
What's the threshold? Can we see a 130 average? Will that ever happen? I don't know. Like, I think at some point it probably will do, but I think the lower end now, you look at the pros now, if you're playing on the Pro Tour, if you're not averaging 90, 95, you're not going to come anywhere ever. Like that's the standard. Even like playing in the ADC now, I play in the ADC, and this player's averaging like 90, 95 in the ADC, 100 in the ADC. These are like amateurs from the pub. The standard is crazy. So, and I play these players and obviously get battered by them because they're a lot better than me. But then you see these players and the step up between them and professional, then a professional and an elite professional is so big. But the elite professional, I don't think people understand how good these players are. Like, because they're all on TV averaging 100, it's normal.
Of course.
But I don't know where the roof is. What's will we see? I think the first thing we'll see is 2 9-darters in a row. I know MVG got close. I think that will happen eventually. But then where do we go from there? Will there be, like I said, will there be 130 average? And will the standard be to be on the Pro Tour? You've got to be averaging 100 eventually. I think it will be. I think there's that many good players coming through, especially young kids coming through now. You'll either have to average 100 or you can't compete. And that's how good it'll be, I think.
Yeah, I think there's also like a conversation to be had about actually changing the game in a weird sense. Like, you don't break it if it's not, like, you don't fix it if it's not broken. But it's weird how we always watch the same thing and still get as excited by it, and it doesn't change. Like, the variables do not change in the darts game. The only really, like, I guess, like, interchangeable variable is if there's wind on the stage and if the crowd can get to somebody mentally. Other than that, I've always thought about this. Compared to any other sport, it's the only sport I think that has completely fixed variables. The distance from the Oche is the same. Everything is the same. Like, even in golf, don't get me wrong, there's a lot. Like, there's not that many variables compared to other sports, but at the end of the day, there's wind, there's every single course, there's so many things that come into play, the lie of your golf ball, etc., etc. Whereas, like, in darts, it's literally just you stand 237 centimeters from the board, it's 173 centimeters to the ball, nothing changes. So I think there should be some conversation we had, even at looking at like changing the format of some events, like maybe doing a few more double ins or something, just to make it more like exciting. I'm not saying make it too exhibitionist, but like, why not do like a tournament every now and then that has a 7-01 leg? Because they'll still do that. They'll still do that in like 15 darts. You know what I mean? Which is mad. But because like snooker, like that debate's always had, and I think it's a stupid one, to be honest. Like, obviously a 147 is way harder. The way I look at it is like, could a decent amateur player hit 147 in snooker? It's like, I don't think so. Like, you're not going to see a 147 hit in a local tournament. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, amateur players all the time hit 9-dart legs. all the time. Like, we have a team of, I think there's 12 of us on our pub team, and 3 of them have hit 9-darter.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like, and they can still have games where they average. Don't get me wrong, they're very good players. Like, one of them's an international player for in the WDF team, and one of them's one of the best women in the world. But like, it's weird that you can perfect the game even for a leg at an amateur level, where you're not going to see that in any other sport. So do we change? Like, you can't really change the board. If you were to change anything about the board, would you bring back in something like a quadro board? I feel like that could be cool, and do like 1,000 on one leg or something like that.
I think the reason we love darts is because it's so relatable. Because to emulate what the pros are doing, you need a dartboard and an Oche and a set of darts.
Yeah.
So it's more relatable because you can put one up in your house. Obviously, you're not playing a big arena with a big crowd behind you, but at the same time, if you compare that to golf or football or anything like that, golf, for example, you can't just go and play Augusta and play.
Yeah, of course.
You can't do it. Whereas, you might play Sunday League football, but you can't go and play at Wembley. So it's whereas darts, you put a board up. My board is the same as the board that's in the PDC. The trebles and doubles are the same size, so you can sort of. And then I think some people then realise how good these players are because, and you'll know, like myself, playing at home is fine. Playing with a little bit of pressure when you're handshaking, the trebles look about a quarter of the size they actually are. It makes you realise how hard it is. And I think, probably going back to the last question, I think in some people's opinion, we probably have got to near the peak of our darting ability as human players because they're so good at darts now that there's no other sport where I think we've probably got close to being at the top level we can be. Obviously, going back to snooker and golf, and we see around the golf, we see people, breaking course records and shooting 59 and stuff. It doesn't happen that often, whereas in darts, we see 9-darters all the time, which I think is brilliant for the game because we're seeing perfect darts thrown. There's no other sports, I don't think, where you see perfection. Not off the top of my head, anyway.
And I maybe it's just just typical. Like, it's very difficult for us to see into the future. We can make as much predictions as we want, but I don't think, could be wrong with this, the actual technology in terms of the darts, the boards, the wires, and things can change drastically. I feel like they've already had their drastic changes. The wires, you're not going to make them any more thin than they are. Or if you do, it's not going to make that much of a difference compared to stapled boards and brass darts and things like that. They're pretty dead set now. Tungsten is the most dense metal you're going to get for a dart anyways. There isn't too much in terms of change there. Then it comes down to, I guess, that exactly, which is how do they deal with the pressure? And then it's just where I think, because I know it was laughed at 10 years ago when I think Barney was the first person to work with a sports psychologist.
Yeah.
And obviously, the same with any player stepping up to the hockey. It's weird because anything that happens in your day can affect the darts you throw. So it just comes down to who's the best. Either they don't have to care at all, or they're so good at managing that. That's why someone like a kid can come in and just do so well, because it's weird to say they have an advantage of not having the same stresses. Is that unfair to say maybe as an adult who has a family and kids does? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The one thing I find interesting, I'd like to know your opinion on this. I'm going to interview you now. Is in darts, obviously the women's game is getting a lot bigger. We've got Bowbury, Fallon, all these top women players coming through. What I can't get my head around, but I think it will soon get to that level, but I can't get my head around, is that the standard of women's darts at the minute is lower than the men. Generally, is the average man professional to the average female professional. The female are lower, but why is that? Because there's no difference. We stand the same distance. We don't have any. There's no physiological benefits we can get from being male playing darts. Obviously, you put a men's football team against a women's football team, the men's will fitter, stronger, whatever. Whereas darts,
they'll win every time.
Yeah, there's no but like I say, we are getting to that version now where Fallon and Bow and stuff are phenomenal at darts, and there's a lot of really, really, really good women's players that could compete on the men's pro ranks and will do for sure, and have already done. But I don't know why there's such a big gap. Maybe it's perhaps the opportunity for women hasn't been so good in the past, but now they're starting to get that way, and we're seeing it come through. But interesting to see what you think about that.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason as to why there's a disparity. I think opportunity is a big one. And normally, like when it comes to like social matters, when it comes to like women and men's sports, I think there's a clear physiological difference. And I've always thought about this for men and women, like where is the difference? And I don't think really there is that much of a difference. And then it comes down to, well, what is the difference? I think it's a mixture of one, the opportunities. When you give women these opportunities in darts, I'm only talking about darts. Like you talk about football, like when I played under 13s football, we played the Irish development women's team and we beat them 7-0.
Yeah.
And like that, you're never going to close that gap unless men and women physiologically become the same.
Yeah.
Whereas dart, it's like, well, strength isn't really an issue. Hand-eye coordination you can talk about, but like at the extremes, there's not much of a difference. You know what I mean? Like in terms of that. As the average, could you say the average man has better hand-eye coordination? It depends on how you measure that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I play with Robin Byrne, and she's I think 6th or 7th in the world for women. And if we play a league game, I think she's maybe only lost once or twice this season, and that would be like the standard. She's won a women's series event, and there's a few other women who play locally who are just fantastic. I think my opinion is in the next 20 years, which is a wide enough time frame, we'll have a first female world champion. I think it. I think so. I think it would be foolish to say in the next 5 to 10, but I think in 20 we could. You know, or if the Lakeside allow it, I think Bo could go in and win a Lakeside championship as a man.
Yeah.
I don't like not as a man. She did. Bobby Greaves. She turns into that's actually her sister's name. But you know what I mean. Like if she competed in the men's tournament, I think she could do a lot of damage. A few of them don't want to because they know the difference, and at the moment they know that there's a disparity there. But I think a lot of it comes down to that. I think if you put women against better players where the gap is not huge in terms of the disparity between them. Like if you put Bo Greaves against, number like someone who's like 50th in the men's rankings, or just someone, you know what I mean, like a first round world championship game, odds are she'll be thereabouts. And we've seen it with Fallon, beating Shibet Terevitz and then Mentor Suljovic a few years ago, which is fantastic. So I think it's a matter of time in the game. And I think it's resources. And I think something like the ADC and the Super Series now having the women on is going to help tremendously because it's always been seen as a man's sport, and I'm not saying, women are getting more opportunities in football. So we're going to see that gap close in football. I feel like there's a limit to the amount that gap can close.
Yeah.
In certain sports, but darts is the one sport, I think, because snooker, I think queuing power comes into it as well. Like the action can be completely the same, but in terms of queuing power and being able to like screw a ball back and things like that, I feel like we won't be able to match that. But darts, I think it will change. I think the biggest way to do that, and I've always said it, like I've championed, why don't the PDC? They only have the match play for the women. Why isn't there? I don't think there should be a PDC Women's World Championship, but I feel like there is the scope there to at least have women compete in more events. Whether that be, I know they get the opportunity with the Grand Slam, and obviously the World Championship, but there should be more. Like there should be. I'm not saying just give it to somebody because they're a woman, but maybe it just takes something like that happening, which a lot of people will give out about, because obviously people even give out about, why is Fallon Sherritt getting an opportunity just because she's a woman? She's like making men who are better miss out on that. I think you just need to give them the opportunity to play against those better players. And then when there are more better women players, the women get better themselves. So I think, I think if you put the world number one, if you put Van Gerwen, Michael Smith, Luke Humphries, any of them against Bo Greaves, and they go play their best darts versus 6 legs, that would be a 6-4, 6-5 all day long, because that's how good particularly Bo is, and we just need more of those women players, which I think takes time, because the disparity is so, like, yourself, if you play someone who is so much worse than you, it brings your game down as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you have two women who push each other, now I like someone like Rena Sullivan, like she hit 10 plus average. I know they're only first at 3 legs, a good few times over the course of the women's Super Series there, hit 10 darter to win it essentially, which is, fantastic. Obviously it's a different setting, but I think time is the biggest one. And then giving women more opportunity, and then not also like at the grassroots level, like for any women who want to get into darts or young girls, like don't be afraid to join a man's team. You know what I mean? Because I don't think gender comes into it too much. And to be fair, a lot of I guess the kind of type of man that plays darts would be, I would say, on average, a little more conservative. So they'd be, I think, more nurturing towards women coming into the game. I could be completely wrong with that. I don't necessarily think it's a good environment for like a young girl to be in, or a young boy at that, going to like pubs and being surrounded by just like that culture, playing at a young age. But if they have to do it and they want to do it, I feel like it should be nurtured. And I think it is the one sport where, yeah, you could have a women's world champion one day. I would say in the next 20 years, or at least I could see someone like Bo getting to like a quarterfinals of a world championship in the next 15 years. And I think that in and of itself would be the Luke Lettler effect that's needed for girls to bring about kind of the same outcome. But like I've played with someone way better than I am. You know, they can show ton plus averages easy.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it kind of leaves the game, but I do think the PDC should look at that and just look at, they're doing great things with the women's series, but I think give them more opportunities and they will come out there. There's no actually, is there any female creators, any female creators on TikTok that do content? I know there's one.
Yeah, there's a few. There is a few. There is a few that are starting to make more content, and if anything, actually, they generally do better than the men because they're female. Right? Because they're female, they get the male viewers, and obviously darts are predominantly male based, although it is for more women. But when it's a standard thing of there's only 3, 4, 5 women that I know of anyway that are making content, people don't watch it because it's something different to me or another bloke stood there talking about darts, whereas a female, she might be quite good looking or whatever like that, and although that's not the reason to watch it, but people will watch it because that's how social media works. And that's it's growing in both male and female. I think there will be more female creators coming along, in the same way there's more female darts players coming through.
100%. I think to if there are any girls listening or watching this, don't be afraid to make darts content. 100%. I do think you will get a little bit more stick, but if you have a little bit more hard skin and just realize that people on social media literally are just non-entities, you will do fine. And I think for anyone who's watching this and who hasn't really gotten into the women's game, because like, they're not the same as men, it's a different game at the moment, but soon that gap will be closed, unlike other sports. I think the World Match Play in July at Winter Gardens is the best time to do that because it's there. It's every round is televised. It's only, I think, 8 women that go in, so it's only a quarterfinal, semi-final, and final. And you will see some stupidly good legs where you're like, holy shit, they're hitting 180s and 140s. I thought only the men can do that. So I think a lot of it's also like showing people that the game's there, because you can say like, listen, like I'm a big Arsenal fan. I'll watch the women's team play as well. I have no issue with that. But you can't say you'll get the same standard out of them. You just won't. And I think that's where a lot of men lose out on watching the game. Whereas with the women's game, all you need is to show someone, listen, this is how good they can be, and then they'll be like, shit, these are way better than me. Because I think a lot of men have that like kind of like armchair kind of mentality where it's like, oh, I could be doing what she's doing, and she's a professional footballer. You know what I mean? Whereas with darts, they're like, I couldn't hit 12 darters non-stop. Fuck. They're really good, you know? So I think it's an interesting one. I think, there should be this space for more encouragement. I always say to Kate and Robin, like, you should start a podcast or just start throwing darts and doing stuff like that, because like you're not just like doing it because you're women, you're also it's a meritocracy. You're so fucking good at the game as well, way better than I am, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
With that, what's your favorite kind of content to make? I know you live stream a lot still, but what's your favorite kind of content to make for your audience?
It's funny actually. The last couple of months, I still post videos every single day. A goal of mine last year was to post every single day for a full year. So I need to go to about October time and I've done that. But now I'm sort of trying to move over to YouTube a bit more now, some longer form stuff. Because TikTok, although I'm very, very grateful for TikTok, it's hard work. Like it's some videos I do like, some like skits and stuff where it'd be me pretending to throw down the pub or whatever. And a minute long skit can take me 2 or 3 hours to film and everything like that. So I'm doing these, not do them every day, but my content recently has sort of not been so much background sort of stuff where I have to go and edit things, and that's so much more on the go. Some videos do okay, some videos don't. I think that's just the nature of TikTok. But
of course,
I'm trying to move more to YouTube, and I'm enjoying YouTube a lot more because I can actually, on TikTok, if you stand and talk, people scroll past straight away because it's not entertaining. It's not unless you catch them straight away, they're not going to listen to you. Whereas on YouTube, if you're watching this now on YouTube, you've actively seen this video and clicked it, and you are invested in trying to watch it. Whereas on TikTok, scroll some bloke, scroll some woman, scroll the dog. Like it's so you're not searching for things like certain things.
Of
You
course,
you recognise, and I've probably got a few people that might watch it because it's me. But on the whole, most people that watch my videos don't follow me because they never know me or in darts, which is just the way it works. Where I think YouTube now, and I'm getting more out of YouTube because people are they're watching it because of you, hopefully. And I think that's the way to go. And it's more, I'm fairly new to YouTube, but so far I've found that I don't get as much negative comments on YouTube. I don't get many comments in general, but generally they are 98% positive, and I get the odd one. Whereas TikTok, it's every third comment is "you're shit" or "this is stupid" or it's like mate, just don't watch it.
I know. Yeah, it's a good point because you have to opt in to watching a YouTube video. You don't kind of like opt into a TikTok. It's just there. It's like TikTok has given this to you. You can choose whether or not to watch it. And a lot of the time people don't, or if they do, they're like, why is this stuff on my For You page? Or like, I've liked the darts video in the past, so that's here. And so I'm like, oh, well, the last darts video I saw, it's like they're throwing 9 darters because that's the viral content. And now I see this person is like they're in 26s and they're 45s. Like, so you're shit. That's what people think, But no, YouTube is fantastic, and I agree with that completely. It's like they're the most rewarding videos to make. I fucking hate editing, like with a passion. I don't know what your thoughts are. Obviously, you post a lot more content than I do. Like I used to post daily for like a year and a half ago. Then I stopped doing it. Like it's so, I guess it can take a lot. I think that's a weird thing people don't see. It's like, oh, we're just making content. That's easy. How do you kind of keep that creative flow going in terms of like what to post without saying the same thing over and over and over again?
I think it's just a case of just trying to do different things. So the best thing for me, the best content ideas I get are from playing darts on the pub. Things that will happen. So someone will say something, I'll think, he said something. Yeah, he'll say something like, I don't know. I've made videos before where you hit 2 in the treble 20 and you throw the first one low or high, and some bloke turns around and goes, "I'd have gone for it." Like stuff like that. It's like little quips that people say, and you can make that into a video. It's not necessarily about, I see a lot of content creators, they're doing, I'm going to hit a 180 with this set of darts, or I'm going to do this, which I've done in the past, and some do good, some don't do so good. But I think it's just trying to be different and trying to sort of, TikTok is the first 10 seconds. If you can get people in the first 10 seconds, generally they'll stay and watch. If the first 10 seconds is, "Hi guys, today I'm going to do," gone. No, not interested. And that's how it works. And this is why I like YouTube better, because it's just so difficult to constantly keep people engaged in TikTok, which you've got to do in YouTube as well to a certain extent. But like I said, if you're watching this, then you've actively had to click it because people watch your videos. And that's how it works, unfortunately. But that's just the way social media is.
Yeah, I think you can be yourself more on YouTube. It's not that like you aren't yourself on TikTok, but you have to be more enthusiastic and more attention catching. Whereas we can just sit and chat nonchalantly on YouTube, and people watch that because they're, as you said, they've actively like clicked in and opted into watching the content. So it's like, I'd say, you're dead on. Like 5 to 10 seconds is what they'll give you on TikTok in terms of attention, but they might give you 1 to 2 minutes on YouTube, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. So you have a lot longer to kind of garner people's attention. I think YouTube is the best for like creating actual fans, I guess. Like Jack Langston, the dart referee, has done a fantastic job. Like he was the first YouTuber I used to watch, and he's the reason I started my channel like a year and a half ago. So like, listen, there's no one from Ireland doing this, calling a spade, and there's even back then I was like, there's so much of a appetite. Like the supply isn't matching the demand, because people were like, every comment I would see in his videos is like, we need more like this. I'm like, oh, so they're craving this type of content. And I'd say that to anyone who wants to start. Like, I think more people in the space is always a good thing. More eyes in general kind of just disperses. Like, you know, we'll get people who watch my content, who watch yours, who watch that person's, who watch that person's. You know what I mean? And so it's always a good thing. And I think to anyone who wants to start making content now, I would say you might think, oh, every second page is a darts page. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, the fact of the matter is there's still such an attention and demand for the content that just, if you want to do it, do it. Like, as a kid, I was always fascinated with the whole, like, oh, being a YouTuber. I loved FIFA as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, it's typical lads and like all these things. And everyone wanted to be a YouTuber, but don't also get disheartened if like you get like views and that stuff doesn't matter. Just make content if you enjoy making content. And I think most people, like, I think like if you build a personal brand in general, it's always going to benefit you, because you don't know what ways the content can go, like in terms of opportunities you can get and stuff like that. And speaking of that, like, has there been any kind of opportunities you've gotten from doing the content that you're like, this is cool, this is sick?
Honestly, TikTok changed my life. I never thought it would do.
Yeah.
Being here now, talking to you, is like blows my mind, because I watched, like you said earlier, I watched Jack, darts referee, and then watch you, and then when you sent me that voice note the other day, I was buzzing. I was like, first of all, he knows who I am, and then he wants to be on his podcast. That's incredible. But other than that, I've been lucky enough to like work with Target. I've been lucky enough I went to the World Championships just gone with Scott Williams. I was in the players' room and that sort of thing, and become good friends with Scott. We're playing the same pub team, well, go to the same pub and play down there. And things like this, I've been fortunate enough to meet other TikTokers that are big on TikTok, and I'm just sort of like, it's so strange to me that I don't know, people sort of recognise who I am, because I like I said, I posted a video and it was me playing darts and people watch it, and then now when I went to the Premier League, just go and I had people coming asking for a photo, which blows my mind. Like, why do you want to? I'm just a guy, and they're like, oh,
I know, yeah.
And I'm sure you get the same thing. I can have a picture, yeah, but why do you want a picture of me? It's like I'm just a guy from TikTok, and people message me on TikTok. I reply to them pretty much straight with that. Can't believe you replied. I'm like, why? It's just like chill. It's like, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying by no means am I famous or anything like that. I don't think I'm famous at all. Like, but
yeah, of course.
It just blows my mind how people recognise me. Like, I play in the ADC, and my very first game, shook hands, and he went, this guy shook hands with me. I went, good luck, mate. And he went, yeah, I love your TikToks. I was like, what? Yeah, and then he beat me 2-0. So that's why it is. But it's just surreal, and I'm so fortunate and so lucky that TikTok did what it did, and hopefully, I can keep going and keep on with TikTok. And if TikTok doesn't grow anymore and my views die off and people start watching me, I've had a good run. That's how I see it now. Everything from now is a bonus. Like, that's how it is.
Yeah.
No matter what people watch it or not.
100%.
Because I enjoy doing it, and I think that's, if you're going to start making TikTok videos or YouTube videos, firstly you've got to enjoy it. You've got to love doing it, because it is a second job. Like, as much as I love it takes up a lot of time, and you've got to be consistent. Working in gyms and stuff myself, and I'm sure you'll agree with us, that you say to someone in a gym, I know you've got a fitness background, but when you say to someone about their diet plan or whatever, I always say to people, can you see yourself doing this diet in a year's time, 5 years' time? And if they no, I say, well, don't do it now then, because it ain't going to last. But if you find this diet or this whatever, and like, yeah, I can see myself doing this for 5 years' time, then great. Same with YouTube and TikTok. If you can't see yourself doing it in 3, 4, 5 years' time, don't start, because it'd be a waste of time. But if you are passionate about it and love doing it, you'll just keep doing it, and it, hopefully, I'm on that path now. Hopefully it should keep growing, and that's the plan. Just consistency, really, and finding what works. You'll do some videos that will get no views. You might hit one that will get 10,000. You might hit one that will get 100 or 1 million, and it's just working out what works and what doesn't, and trying to just be consistent with it. It's all a game of numbers. That's all social media is. It's a numbers game. It's just that's all it is.
And it's just testing stuff different like all the time. It's just seeing like what works, and sometimes you might know what works, but you'll have a better idea. Like it's just all a guessing game, but it makes it fun and enjoyable to create content. That's why I wanted to start something like a podcast. And like it hasn't been done, I don't think, anyways, in the dart space. And I think there's such an appetite for the content. It's like people like talking about darts, and there's no one talking about darts. I know the Sky had the like dart show that they were doing with Emma Payton and Dan Dawson and stuff like that. And that kind of, I think I don't know if they still do it, but I was listening to it around the World Championships, and obviously they were heavy then because it's the World Championships. But I'm like, there's no like darts media in general is getting massive, and I'd love to do more stuff like that. Like I love playing the game, but I kind of want my playing to be in the background of like just me creating content and meeting new people, because I think that's the coolest opportunity with social media. It's just like darts is getting to this stage. I don't ever think I'll be the guy who like reviews darts and things like that, because like I know a good bit about darts, but like I couldn't like it's like, well, could I see myself, as you said, and it's fairly like widely applicable advice, could you see yourself enjoying doing this for years? And I'm like, if I had to just get free equipment, great, I guess, but then just review it for my lifetime, I would hate my life. You know what I mean? Like, which is weird, because for some people that's like not a dream, but it's like, it's fantastic. Imagine getting free stuff all the time. I just couldn't be that person. You know what I mean? Because it was like, I think there's so much cooler stuff that you can do, like this stuff, where it's like you're just chatting to whether it be dart players, dart content creators, and stuff like that. So I think that's a big thing as well, and I agree with you on that. It's like trying to be a bit different. I feel like the people like Jack and the dart, like the dart referee, he can do what he wants because he's like the OG darts content creator in my eyes, anyways. But then it's up to kind of us, like the newer generation, I guess we'll call ourselves, to like try and diversify and do things that people enjoy. And I think if you're like into creating content, reach out and collaborate with other content creators is, I think, one of the best things to do. It's like just not piggyback off each other's success, but more so it's a multiplier effect. You know what I mean? And I think there should be more. I like the idea, like the influencer event and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that the Modus did. I think more stuff like that could be sick. I would love to put together a tournament, but the thing is, I'm in Dublin, so I'll probably have to fly over to the UK and hold it somewhere there. But we should look at doing something like that and getting like all the creators together.
Well, there is one happening in
Newcastle, is it?
No, it's in Blackburn. In July, and there's pros. There'll be. I'm fortunate enough to play another few other content creators. I think there's 16 content creators and 16 pros. Again, like you said before, if things happened to me in the past that have been mind blowing, I'm going to play this event where people are going to pay to watch me play darts, which is just mind blowing. Like, I'm not even good. Like, I'm not even good at darts, and people are paying to watch. It's just, it's mind blowing for me. But yeah, I think social media and darts has been so good, and it's only going to keep growing, which is brilliant for darts and social media, and giving people like me a chance to just play darts with all these people and meet these people and meet these pros and people like yourself. It's just insane.
Oh, it's class. Where do you see the next 6 to 12 months for yourself then? Let's even go longer. Let's say, would you do this full time if you could? I know that's a difficult question to ask. I know you're doing it a lot more now, like you're posting every day. That basically feels like a second job, as you've said.
Yeah.
But could you do darts full time, honestly? And if so, how would you, I guess, transition your day to do that? And would you do more? Like, what would you do if you were to create like this full time?
My goal is to do, I wouldn't say social media full time, but social media along with another job. So I work in a job now, but ideally, I would like to be doing social media, YouTube and TikTok, and then another business for myself that's involved in darts or who knows, playing darts. So I don't know. You don't know what's happening here. So I'd like to, I don't think I could just do YouTube and TikTok full time.
Yeah.
But I want it to be my main income, if that makes sense. So
yeah, of course.
But that's not my full-time job. So I have 2 part-time jobs, one doing that, and then one doing whatever else happens. Like, if you'd have said to me a year and a half ago that you'd be making money from YouTube and TikTok videos, I'd have been like, what's
hardly,
So, and now that's happening. Who knows? It's open mind now to be thinking, well,
of course,
next year, where am I next year, or the year after? Who knows? TikTok. The scary thing with TikTok and YouTube is you can make one video, your account gets banned, and it's gone straight away.
That's true.
And that's why I never fully rely on it, because I think you've got to have multiple streams of income coming in just in case someone reports my TikTok and it gets banned and I can't get it back. Gone then. YouTube, same thing. You get demonetized, whatever. So I would never trust it fully. I'd be scared to trust it fully. Although, I'd want it to be the main income eventually. But who knows?
Yes, of course. I think that's like a fantastic point as well. Like, people do that. They don't diversify well enough. Like, you have to kind of don't get wrong, there's benefits to putting all your eggs in one basket, but in the social media space, it's scary. Because, as you said, like, it could just be one comment and you're gone. And particularly if you're relying on that for a livelihood, it's just like it's wiped out. Here's an interesting one. I know your background is in fitness, and I've always thought about this as like a thing. I just don't know if it's. I feel like you're rubbing against the grain with this one. I think personally, but like, where do you think fitness plays a role in darts and like just people? Because let's call a spade a spade. I would say 95% of pro players on the tour are overweight. As a generous token. I'm not saying that, like, you need to be in shape to play darts. There's a in shape for playing darts is different than in shape for doing X, Y, and Z, right? But where do you think? Because I think it can only improve the performance of players. Like, you take someone like Luke Humphries. I'm not saying because he lost weight he's a better darts player. Not at all. But what I'm saying is he start training and start looking at things like his nutrition and looking at things outside of just throwing a dart. And that could be psychology, that can be therapy, that can be whatever you want it to be. But the holistic approach to helping someone get better, because at the end of the day, if you think your talent, like, if let's call a spade, most of the talent of the players is level-ish. What kind of separates them is their ability to actually hit that talent when they're up on the stage, which I think comes from a lot of their mental preparation and I guess their approach to the game as a holistic manner. And that's not saying the players who are overweight are worse than that. That's not the case at all. But I think it can only benefit most of them if they were to do that. And I think that's something that maybe a conversation could be had about. What do you think?
Yeah, I think going back to golf again, since Tiger Woods was the first person to take fitness seriously in golf. Because before that, it was blokes whacking a ball around a field for a few hours.
John Daly.
He was the first one to go to the gym. He was the first one to take golf fitness seriously. And then if you look at the PGA Tour, the European Tour, all these blokes are in the gym every day. Not necessarily to get stronger to hit the ball further, which that does help, but at the same time, mentally prepares you. And I think that's where it can overlap with darts. Physically, you haven't got to be strong to play darts. We know that.
Of course.
Anyone can throw a dart. But mentally, having that mental strength to, and you know this like I do, you go to the gym on days you don't want to go to the gym. That then gives that mental strength to think, right, I've done something today. I've been to the gym. I didn't want to go. So mentally, I'm stronger than I was yesterday. And I think that could overlap with darts in terms of mental strength of players, then having that discipline almost. Not saying dart players aren't disciplined because they all practice, they all do this, they all do that. But I think it's just that extra 1%. If it gives you 1%, well, 1% at the top of the game is huge because
exactly,
averaging 95 and averaging 105. Like it's that. Physically, will it make you better? Probably not. No. But mentally, I think it can overlap. And like you said about Humphries before, about the mental help he's got, the psychology stuff he's had working with. And again, you know as well as I do, fitness and mental health are huge. They go together. They overlap massively. In the job I do, I help a lot of people with mental health issues and that sort of thing. And the gym can just make people so much more mentally resilient. It can help with overcoming anxiety, depression, that sort of thing. Not cure it, but it can help it. And
of course.
I don't know if you saw I watched the PDC episode.
The PDC one, yep, the mental health one.
And how how players are struggling with mental health and stuff. And I think just going to the gym can help your mental health, whether you're going to go and lift weights or go for a run or do a boxing class or whatever. I think it can.
Just being active.
Yeah, just moving, getting the brain active, getting the brain working, because as we know, darts is a pub sport, and the pub is probably the least healthy place in the world to go. And if you can gain that 1% extra advantage at the top elite level, then I think it will improve massively. And not only that, coming down to amateur level, where you're maybe not as good at darts, but if you've got that 1% extra from having that mindset of being mentally strong in a game when you're 3-0 down, it's first to 4, then you've got that little edge, giving yourself a chance. So I think they do overlap, and I think in the next 20 years, I think darts will potentially start to go more the way of golf is going, where it's a lot more fitness based, and I'm not going to say all players are going to be in shape and ripped, because in golf it's the same. You still get players that are overweight and this sort of thing, but that little push they get from going to the gym and doing bits can be huge on the game of darts. Not necessarily to make darts in general better, but them individual players that do it, I think they will gain an advantage. Like Humphries, would Luke Humphries as be on form as he is, or if he wasn't going to the gym and losing weight, would he? He probably might have been, but we don't know, do we? And this, you're only going to gain from going to the gym. You're not going to lose anything from going to the gym. So
100%. I think I always think the longevity as well. It's one of the only professional sports where you can play for, like, even in golf, you're gonna tail off in your mid-40s. Like you just are. Whereas in darts, a lot of players come into their peak then. I think a lot of them that, like, even take Barney, he kind of had his comeback when he did start to get in better shape, when he did work with a psychologist as well as I think he was working with a nutritionist for a while. But like, take someone like Steve Beaton, who is the epitome of longevity in the sport, known as the Bronze Adonis. When he was younger, he was always just like this Greek god looking figure. I'm not saying he had the body to match, but he's always been in shape. And I think that will come down to it, particularly for players getting into the sport. Like, I think that just has to have an effect on it. Even like simple lethargy. Like, I think in terms of like mentally and physiologically, there's a lot of stress involved in a high stakes darts game. Like, if you play even a game, like a lot of these players, particularly if they're playing the World Championship, 5-6 sets, it's an hour and a half of concentration. It's like when people like play chess and you're like, geez, they burn thousands of calories. Of course, because your brain's using a lot of glucose. Like, you still are performing a lot of stress on the body. So I think things like that will only help.
Sure.
Don't get wrong, some people can do it in their sleep, but maybe that's our next business adventure, fitness and darts. I think it's a conversation that people don't talk about now. And as you said, like, they'll laugh at now almost and switch off. But like, when you think of something that I think anyways, and you probably agree, only when done correctly has benefits to a sport, why wouldn't it be included? You know what I mean?
You've got nothing to lose from doing it. There's nothing to lose, only to gain. So you'd be a fool to not do it.
100%. That's our next adventure then. I imagine if you put up like a video, like even like in the next few weeks, or like one of us did, where it's like, fitness for darts, I guarantee you 98% of the comments would be like, what the fuck is this?
No, I've done a video on TikTok on this. I did a video.
Did you?
And it was a satire video. It was me.
Okay,
It was darts players workout. It was on TikTok. And it got loads and loads of views, and everyone was like laughing at it. But it was basically like pretending you've got Whitlock points and pulling the points on the board. So I got a rope on a cable and I'll pull it out really hard and stuff like that. And like,
very good.
Like doing the Izzy Price, like do a bicep celebration and stuff, and little things like that.
10 reps, 3 sets.
Yeah, exactly. And that video actually did really well. But I think darts and fitness eventually will take off. Whether it will be as big as it is in, like, say, golf and stuff, I don't know. But you'd be a fool not to try it, because you can't lose from doing it. So.
Exactly, and only time will tell with this. I'm excited to see where social media goes over the next year, particularly for yourself. Obviously, it's done massive things for yourself in the past 2 years since you've been doing it, but really in the past 6 months where it's blown up. I think there's only great things ahead for yourself, and I'm excited to see where that journey goes for yourself. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to chat to myself. With that being said, firstly, are there any questions you wish I asked you? We'll start with that.
No, I don't think so. I didn't know what to expect, really. No.
All right, fair enough. And then with that, where can people find you on social media if they're not following you already?
So TikTok, Sam_Brack, and YouTube, Sam_Brack. Please go and follow my YouTube. I'm trying to grow some YouTube. And yeah, go and follow on TikTok. But thanks if you do already follow me. I really appreciate it, especially on YouTube and TikTok. I'm so grateful for every single person that comments, watches, shares, even the people that give me abuse. I appreciate them all, because without these people, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today, and I wouldn't be here talking to you. So yeah, Sam_Brack.
All publicity is good publicity. You know what I mean? And we'll get our Path to Pro and Quest to Q School. We'll get a joint episode soon on that as well. But Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure. Go on.
I was just about to say the I had the idea for Quest to Q School because of your Path to Pro, and I thought if he sees it, he might think I'm copying him. So I was thinking of something where it might be a little bit different, but then the videos of yours and the videos of mine are completely different. So
yeah, with that stuff, I always say to people, I think it's better to have, because we'll get ideas off each other. Like that's just being a content creator. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather someone do, like, even because Jack was doing it. You know what I mean? And I was like, I think the more people that do something like that, the better. I think that's the mentality you have to have if you're a creator, because I think ultimately you could find out that someone's doing something better than you are, and not better in terms of like it's all numbers, as you said. So it's like I can take ideas from what you're doing, you can take ideas from what I'm doing, and like I think as a whole, the whole thing grows. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're a creator who's like, oh, he's doing that because I'm doing that, or he's copying, everybody copies somebody. You know what I mean? Like in whatever way, nothing is a really original idea when it comes to content creation. And if you're not utilizing what's already working, I think you're not being a content creator.
For sure.
You know what I
mean? The biggest thing I think is success leaves clues. Like people 100%. Are successful, what are they doing? How have they done this? What are they doing that's making them successful? And if you can reverse engineer it and not copy it word for word, but emulate what they're doing, then you've got off a chance of doing it. And that's what
exactly.
And that's like,
and I hope to God your videos blow the fuck up, because then someone will find my videos, and I hope you hope likewise, because then it's two different perspectives on things, and I hope more people join in, and it's just like we all watch, because as consumers of content, people like watching different perspectives. Yeah. They're not just like, oh, I only watch this. It's like if you're a football fan, you're not just going to watch one league. You're not just going to say, I'm not watching the Euros because I support Arsenal. You know what I mean? You're going to do that. So, as I said, we're going to meet up soon. You're coming over to Dublin, and we'll do a video. We'll play some events, and I'll take you to maybe the Guinness Storehouse, maybe Jameson Museum. Depends if you like whiskey, but Guinness. We can do them all in one day, mate. Dublin's. I hate that Dublin has the reputation of being a drunken city, but it is great for a good time, not a long time.
Absolutely, it goes hand in hand with darts, doesn't it? Perfect.
Exactly. I'm surprised we don't have any world champions yet. But Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure. As he said, if you want to go follow Sam, which I highly recommend, his content's fantastic. Sam_Brack on YouTube, and TikTok. I'll leave the handles on the screen. Other than that, if you did enjoy the video, please do share. Leave a comment with who you'd like to see on next, what topics you like, what you liked about this episode. And as always, until next time.